Today we're going to be talking about really why organisations need a website, why a charity has a website and what they want it to do for them. So if we start with the first slide, I think people often come to us with a project we need a new website, but usually the answer or the question is why? Why do you have that website in the first place and what do you want it to do for you? Who is it for? What do you need it to do? What's the purpose? What do you want users to do when they get there? And what do your users want to do when they get there as well? So charities' websites usually have to do quite a lot of jobs. They've usually got a lot of different hats to wear. They've got multiple audiences, multiple priorities, usually competing priorities and different things they need to do at the same time. So the challenge is usually, how do we do that on one website? And I think usually when we get a specification or a brief, it focuses a lot on the functionality that a charity thinks they need, or this is what we think our website needs to do, but misses out on the why. Like, why are we having this website? What do we need this website to do for us? And they get bogged down with the detail of the technical stuff to do that. So I think I'd normally liken this to a job description and saying if you were going to put a job advert out, you'd normally identify the need in your charity, why you need a member of staff, what you want them to do, and make a business case for it, in terms of what you need that person to do, what gaps they're going to fill, and the website should be seen as a member of staff. You're making a big investment in the website as you would a new member of staff, so having a clear set of objectives and a clear set of measures of success is key to that. So the next slide kind of touches on a little bit on why charities think they need a website, and the recent Charity Digital report was looking at why or what organisations are trying to do and what their priorities are. So things like improving fundraising, improving services, improving operations, staff recruitment. And if we were to say, what's the purpose of your website, you'd probably choose a selection of these reasons, and that's the things it needs to do for you. And usually what we find is that each person in a team or a prospective client or an existing client would probably have a different answer. They'd probably come to us and say it needs to raise funds, it needs to drive service delivery, it needs to do this. And what they don't necessarily translate to is where the website can do these things for them and which order they need to do them in. They say we need a new website because the website's not fit for purpose. But what is the purpose? They often don't even know what they want their website to do. So they're trying to do everything without having a clear structure of what the goals are and what the priorities are. So the next slide is kind of how do you know your website's actually doing these things? Have you actually set objectives? Have you actually set goals? A great website, does it look good is one thing. Some people build a new website and go, it was fantastic because our website looks great, it's got our new brand on there, it looks brilliant, but you wouldn't necessarily know if it's actually a good website for a good 1, 2, 3 quarters where you've got some results, you've got some data. Is it doing the things that you set out to achieve when you commission that website? And I think that's the bit that's often missing on a lot of projects where people see the website launching as kind of an end in itself. They go, we've got our new website, it does what it needs to do because it looks fantastic and it represents our brand and it speaks to our audiences, but whether or not it's actually doing those things, they don't necessarily know, and they've not given that thought to it. So on the next slide, Jack, we're looking at kind of what that means and how you might measure the success of your website. So what do you actually prioritize? If you've written a clear description of our website as a success, if it achieves this, and this. So the example here is our own Fat Beehive website, where we looked at this a couple of years ago and thought the reason we've got a website is because we need to attract projects and clients that meet our values and we can do a good job for and meet our technical skills. So we knew that clients came to our website to see who we work with, what kind of work we've done in the past, do they see themselves in the projects that we've done? And also because, as Marcus said earlier, we're quite proud of how we work in terms of the ethical nature of what we do and our skills and our team, and that's kind of a secondary priority, is to really prioritise and promote the work that we do in that area. So we kind of took a step back and thought people aren't necessarily coming to our website to to read our blog section. They're not necessarily coming to our website to read our latest news. Maybe you do, maybe you come to see what we've been up to, but in the large, our website's there to show prospective clients who we are, what we do, and whether we're a good fit for their project. So with that in mind, we could set these objectives and measure these objectives. So are we getting the right kind of inquiries? Are we getting inquiries from organisations that we can genuinely help, that we can do a good job for, that meet our ethical policy, that we feel are aligned with the work that we do? And we can measure that. We can look at who's getting in touch and other sort of clients that meet our requirements. So that the next slide, Jack, is kind of focusing on, we don't just want more traffic to the site, because traffic in itself should never be a measure of success, because even though people are coming to your website, are they the people you want on the site? Are they doing the things you want them to do? I know Jack's talking in a little while a bit more about how Google Ads can help you prioritise that, but people sometimes come to us with kind of analytics and go, we currently have this many impressions on our site. We need to double that by next year, and a new website's going to help us do that. But if the website's just generating traffic for traffic's sake, that's not a successful website. You need to look at that and go, is it the right traffic? Are they converting? Are they the people? Are we helping them, or are they helping us? And that kind of ongoing strategy is sometimes missing. People launch a new website and see we've doubled traffic, so it's been a great success, and awareness must have been raised because we've had more people come to the site. But whether those people are actually benefiting from coming to your site, whether they're actually accessing resources, actually making a donation, inquiring for a job or a volunteer vacancy, those things are sometimes lacking. And so when an organisation says, we need a website to raise funds, we need a website to recruit staff, we need a website to provide service delivery, they don't usually know if their website's doing those things for them. And having effective measurement in place obviously helps with that. So on the next slide, Jack, is this kind of ongoing cycle that we find a lot of charities in, where they write a specification, they write a website brief, and then after 6 months, they maybe go out to tender, they get quotes, they build a website. What they needed when they wrote that brief isn't necessarily what they need when the website launches, because a period of time's passed, their organisation's constantly evolving and growing, and the audience requirements are changing. So what you necessarily put in a brief is only ever going to be as good as the day it was written. So 1 year after launch, 2 years after launch, 3 years after launch, the organisation's kept growing, it's kept changing how it works, you might have new services, you might have new audience types, but the websites tend to stay quite stagnant. So the organisation goes up, as the chart here shows, whereas the website's performance against those goals only ever gets worse. So 2, 3, 4 years after launch, people see their website as having a shelf life, where after 3 years it's got so bad that you need a new website. It's no longer fit for purpose, it's not doing what it needs to do, and a whole new budget has to be found, a whole new rebuild has to take place. Whereas really, on the next slide, Jack, what we try to look at is the website shouldn't wait until it's no longer fit for purpose. You should make a clear distinction what the purpose is at the start, and then once you've built your website, looking at regular, iterative reviews. Is it doing the things we built it for? Is it not doing the things we built it for? Why did we build it? And if you've got a clear distinction at the start as to why you built it, you can score it against these things. A similar analogy that I mentioned the other day about hiring a member of staff. You wouldn't hire somebody and then in 3 years sack them and replace them, because you've made a huge investment into that person. They've got a huge knowledge of the organisation, whereas you might invest in training, professional development, performance reviews, appraisals. Are they doing the things they need to do? And if not, how can you help them get there? Which is the way you should really see your website, where is it doing what we need? And what else can we do to help it get to that next level? And seeing it as this kind of cyclical process where it launches, but it only gets better from the day it launches, rather than waiting for it to get so bad that it needs to be replaced, is really what you need to look at. So just moving on to the next slide, Jack. I guess in terms of is your website successful, if you've defined why you had it in the first place, and you know that's really clear why you built it, you can then give it a score. You can go, is it doing what we needed? Why not? And what else can we do to make sure that when you are finding resources or budgets or time, it's going into the bits that need it. You're not just throwing everything out and starting again and not applying any learnings to it. So I guess just to kind of wrap up before I pass you to Jack, this is really focusing on your own websites, and do you know why you built it in the first place? And are you measuring it against those goals? And is it doing the things it should be doing? And if it isn't, what needs to be done to get there? It shouldn't be a rebuild. It should be focusing on specific elements of it and making that part better at doing the bit that it needs to do.